Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Stat Check episode 161. While you guys were all waiting for the show, I studied the Blade of Ultramar. So we are here on November 18th, 2025. I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. We are here to chat all things stats, all things Ultramarines, mostly Ultramarines. I've also got a bit of WCW wrap up to do. We're going to talk about the ITC season. I got a new laptop, so I want to talk about playing video games for the first time in about 7 years. Nathan and I have both played the same game, so we're going to talk about it because I need to vent to somebody. Yeah, that's the broad spectrum for today. I am Ennis. I am joined by Nathan. I haven't even changed my title. God, what am I doing? What is going on? I change that every week.
Can't believe
Nathan,
you, Ennis.
how you been, my man?
It has been a both terrible and a great couple of weeks. 2025 has fully established itself as a year that I wish time would forget in many ways. But good things have also happened. I played some 40K. I played a lovely game yesterday as part of our Visa Teams League, which I guess I can talk about a little bit later. I have a job offer, which is good, so I will no longer be among the members of the unemployed, and instead will be employed pending an official job offer later this week, which is amazing. And yeah, otherwise things are going okay. I am playing more 40K and more D&D, and then Innes and I both have played the Dispatch video game over the last few weeks as it released episodically, which I enjoyed a lot.
I bought a new laptop to play this game, if I'm being honest with myself.
It's really funny because it's not like an intense game for graphics of any kind, shape, and/or type.
Not run it. So,
and then other than that, I beat Ghost of Yote, and I played the new Pokemon Z to A game because I enjoyed that as well.
How was that? I didn't think that looked very good.
I enjoyed it a lot, actually. It isn't like my favorite Pokemon game, but it is a really good Pokemon game. It is just very different from other ones because it's like somebody took Arceus with its dodge rolling and alpha Pokemon and things that will try to murder you as you try to run around the map from them, and then took time cooldown based combat in real time instead of turn-based combat with Pokemon. So you can
just
use
really
moves and they have cooldown.
Every single time I've played anything Pokemon, the turn-based nature of it has been the thing that appeals to me. So I don't think it would work very well for me. Admittedly, I've not played a Pokemon game since Sun and Moon. So it's been a while.
I'm going to be excited when we move back to like mainline games. The Legends games are like the series games where they kind of do different shit and try new things. And I thought it was fine.
Yeah, I didn't think it was like the best thing how they do when Champions actually drops, right? Like with when they can do all of the cross-platform stuff. That seems like it'll be kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think the game is good. I think a bunch of people are like kind of weirdly shitting on the game for no reason.
It's Pokemon. Like, that was going to happen, right? Like, what were you expecting?
It's like a tightly made Pokemon game. It looks fine graphically, but it looks like a Pokemon game. The exploration aspect is done in like
right.
I mean, it looks like a Pokemon game. So it looks like the sprites just in 3 dimensions. I don't know what people were expecting. And then it has reasonably good 3-dimensional exploration, but it's not like doing anything fancy with it. Yeah, I don't know. I had a good time with it, and I beat it, and now my wife is playing it, and she seems to be having a good time with it. So, money well spent.
And fair enough, right? What more could you hope for? How was your Vasa League game? Why don't you tell me all about it?
All right, so I played Innis's Eldari list with into a Blood Angels list, which was just lag, so +2 strength, +1 attack on the charge, with 12 Sanguinary Guard, 2 Gladiator Lancers, a Ball Predator with Flamers, Death Company Captain, Mephiston, a Chaplain, 6 Blade Guard, and some Scouts. Oh, and some Assault Intercessor squads and an Intercessor squad. So it's like
you shot him to death with Scary Elfman.
And we were both playing, and I was playing very carefully because everything in that army just will die if I kind of fuck up. But on turn 3, I killed 2 tanks, a squad of Sanguinary Guard, the Lieutenant, all 6 Blade Guard, except for the Chaplain. All the Assault Intercessors were dead. The Death Company were dead. I had taken his home objective with I had taken his home objective with Baharoth. And I looked at it and I was like, so that went well. And then at the end of the game, all of my Phoenix Lords except Lycus were still alive, kind of tooling around doing stuff. Janezar killed the intercessors who kind of desperately tried to charge her to stop her from taking his home objective, essentially, was kind of the thing he was trying to do with it, I guess. So she killed all
notably great plan for your Space Marine models to charge Janezar.
It was a plan that needed to work to like make the point differential get cut, but Janezar killed all of the Space Marines and then on the next turn went into his home objective and did a secondary and terraformed, and then just did that on turn 5. So it was a 18-2, but after turn 3, it was basically not in doubt. I had just kind of lost a little bit of primary scoring early in order to kind of like position everything for.
Yeah, I mean, when you play against an army like
killing blow,
you focus on making sure they're not tabling you before you win the game, right?
Yeah, and I had to be extremely careful because anything in that army basically just kind of picks up or annihilates anything in the army that it touches on my end. So it's like a very careful, quick positioning game about things.
Out of curiosity, are you currently located in the Breaking Bad version of Mexico?
No, but it does turn orange because like the camera does weird shit. I don't know why the camera does this. It's like, oh, everything's orange now. We're going to turn orange tinted. Instead, we'll see if we can keep it to the actual correct light settings. But yeah, it was a good game. My opponent was great. They were fantastic. We had a really good back and forth and joked about how the game was going to go the whole time. And then on the last turn, we were like, well, this went exactly how we thought it was going to go. And that was kind of it. So it was fun. I had a good time. I'm going to continue to play this list until I stop having a good time with it, which will be probably around the point
really
where
fun,
I play.
isn't it?
Yeah. I still don't know what to do with the Void Scarred unit. They just kind of sit on my home objective and kind of sit there.
Usually you want to do that with one sort of ranges, and the Void Scarred are like your first turn, they push onto your opponent's expansion objective with the scout move, and they're just like, you get a 5. Come and play. That's kind of their job.
I just put them in the back because I was like, this seems fine. And then the Rangers kind of just terraformed and then died. Or terraformed, ate a charge, and then died.
They're the only one of the army
and then died.
that isn't a vehicle, so it's nice to have them like playing the midfield a little bit to actually like score some primary off your opponent. But you do you, buddy.
It's true. I think that's
also the blaster's like a good weapon, and the long rifles are not that great. So
he did kill the blaster did kill the last sanguinary guard from a squad who was like running at them, and I was like, that is bad, and then I killed him.
What was the Asserman kill? What did he get with his best day ever?
Asserman by himself killed 6 blade guard on the shooting by himself. He was like, what if I had full rerolls to wound after popping out of the Falcon and then just fucking devastated wound the entire squad of blade guard away?
Oh, shout out to that guy for not knowing that lag has a 5-up film of against mortal wound stratagem.
I think, yeah, apparently. I mean, it didn't matter because Asserman did that before anything else from the unit shot at them.
Sure. But you can definitely, that is a preventable problem. You have a 5-up against mortal wounds in this detachment.
It is a preventable, maybe problem. It is definitely not unpreventable. Yeah, sure. He did smoke both my vehicles on 6 like damage on Lancers, basically the moment that I needed them to go anywhere else that wasn't behind a rock, which was fine. One did survive. The Wave Serpent survived a Lancer and then a triple charge from Mephiston, a Death Company captain, and a Sanguinary Guard unit, and then died on the very last save roll on that thing. And I was like, "You did great, Wave Serpent. Good job."
You really made your money's worth there. Fair enough.
So, yeah, it was a good time.
Good.
You played your Wiesel match as well, right?
I have had a fortnight and a fucking half. Let's start with that. It's been about 2 weeks since we've been on the show. We took last week off because Worlds was messy and most of us couldn't. It was going to be a Nathan solo show, and we couldn't do that to him.
I couldn't have physically done it or emotionally done it, so that's okay.
Look, I would make a good effort solo show with me, Anthony, or Jeremy. I think could just about play enough Warhammer to make a solo show work.
That's more reasonable. I could do a stats update and then be like goodbye and then fade into the distance.
Update in like 5 questions.
Yeah, do the Homer into the bushes gif. Basically.
So, what's been my last couple of weeks? So obviously I was at Worlds, and it didn't go as well as I was hoping. It still went really well, and I feel like I need to be like really careful about how I caveat this next section. Worlds was disappointing because I only went 6-1-1 and finished 24th of 401 players, and I only finished second in the world. So Worlds for me was an abject failure. No, that can't be right. That's not in any way a reasonable thing to say, right? That's bullshit. No. It wasn't an abject failure. Worlds was a great time. I had a really cool tournament. Holy shit, were the missions sent from hell, is how I would describe it. Why on God's green earth did we play supply drop on sweeping engagement layout 3? No one will ever know. You will hear more Venny about this when I eventually get around to making your Worlds video. It can join the ever-growing backlog of shit Innis needs to make. I finished second in the ITC. I was 2.8 points behind Folger. Look at this trophy. Isn't it cool? Holy crap. I finished second in the world again. That's a level of consistency you just can't beat. Compare and contrast. How cool. All right, guys, in chat as well. Which trophy's cooler? This year's or last year's? Notably, last year's lights up. So
I don't want to bias people, but I do think the one that lights up is cooler as it changes colors periodically as well. That's just me.
And
I might be wrong.
Games Workshop provided the batteries.
There you go. See?
I don't know. Now, is it weird because technically both seasons ended this year in 2025? So I won 2025 twice? Kind of, yes. Let's not worry about that. More importantly, I think this year's one is cooler. It also has the Warhammer logo on it instead of just the Warhammer 40,000 flag, and I think the Warhammer logo looks cooler because I have a cast metal version of it on my bookshelf. So, who knows? This year's looks like an award you get from your local commerce board. I don't disagree. There are many, if I can get the line on it, many cooler trophies in my my arsenal. That is not one of my favorites. I mean, it's one of my favorites for like the storyline, but it's not one of my favorites for a how cool the trophy is. One day I should do a trophy tier list for how cool all my trophies are.
Surely the coolest one though is just the metal hammer one from
the metal hammer is it's probably the best one, right? Like it can't even be on my shelf. It's too big.
I've picked it up and looked at it in person several times, and it is so cool, that is such a cool trophy. That is the best one. I'm sorry to all the other trophy people out there. That is just the best trophy. Some of the
I kind of feel like you should get one of these for winning and coming second, right? Like it feels like the kind of thing they should do. But
I agree.
Who knows?
They put your name on the hammer instead, and then I suppose that's the thing.
Yeah, who knows? Am I going for first next year? Oh God, what a landmine of a question that is to drop. I have not decided yet. We could talk a bit about that.
Sure.
I want to do a reflection of the ITC season sometime after we do the stats. So that'll be a thing to have a chat about later. So went to Worlds.
Friends we made along the way.
Went to Atlanta. Holy crap, not a nice city. Did not have fun. I had like a bunch of plans. Like my flight out was like 10 p.m. on the Monday. I was like, I'm gonna go and do some stuff. And we'll see how and then I went to Dunkin' for breakfast, got accosted by 3 homeless people in 10 minutes and decided to just go to the airport 11 hours before my flight, which felt like the safest option at the time. I was not having the best day by myself in Atlanta with the luggage. So I did nothing in Atlanta, went straight to the airport, had lunch with the Swedes, dinner with the Finns, and then got my flight an hour and a half delayed, and then missed my connecting flight, and then had to wait. And it's been a whole thing. I've had a really weird couple of weeks. Atlanta was not the most pleasant place. The hotel was fine. Our Airbnb was in just the sketchiest goddamn building. But sure. Thank you, Ben, for being a member for 10 months. How can we make the ITC more relevant, or at least as relevant as it was in the past? I honestly think the ITC will entirely be carried by how much people care about it. So I am continuing, as someone who's doing well in it, to private as being very important. And that's the only way that I can think, right? Like, if GW aren't going to put a ton more support behind it, which I don't think they have to, the only way that we can care about it is by pushing for it and having people want to care about it, right? Do people care about getting their best in factions? I certainly know that from speaking to, like, ears on the ground with a lot of clients, that a lot of clients are like, hey, I want to try to be top 10 in my country, top 10 in my region, top 3 in my faction, right? All that kind of stuff is a big driver for people. I think it's just a quiet driver that not a lot of people talk about, because ultimately it kind of sounds a little bit like braggadocious, right? When you're just like, oh, hey man, guys, look how well I'm doing in the ITC right now, right? Like stuff like that. People are generally trying to be quieter with their accomplishments, but for people's personal accomplishments, I think having a Games Workshop run, directly driven thing for people to look at and be able to like measurably track their performance, right? Like it's a good thing to do. It kind of fits into those, like smart incentives pretty well, right? It's actionable. It's very easy to see. It's public. It's time based, right? All that kind of stuff goes really well for the ITC rankings, and I think that is, it's a good measure of how well your year went. It's not perfect. It never will be, but ultimately, it has as much as anyone is going to be able to do of it. Now, is the fact that there are a bunch of events that don't go into ITC, team events and people who don't like it is the measure of the best singles player of the year, right? That is ultimately what it tracks. And it's of the year, not of this event, right? Like Richard Siegler was the best singles player at that tournament, but of the 2025 season, the best singles player was Folger Piles. That is just what the ITC tracks. Now, does that mean that at every single interval there wasn't someone who was better than Folger? No, but Folger was the most consistent player over the season and the most willing to put it. And I think that's basically, you can care about that as much as you choose to. There are other ways to track skill. There is ELO, there is the WTC, there is winning individual tournaments, all that kind of stuff. But if you want something long-term, the ITC is there. And I don't think there's anything that needs to replace it, or particularly anything that needs to change with it. Like, it'd be cool if there was more prizing, but they introduced a bunch more regional leagues. They have golden tickets for regions now, stuff like that, right? Like, I think there's plenty going on with the ITC for it to be as compelling as it needs to be.
And I'd say that like the ITC is just as important now as it has ever been in realistic terms. Like for the most part, people care about as much as the ITC now as they did before. It doesn't seem like it's gained or lost any of its.
I think it's more that there's
over time,
other stuff
and
you
GW
can care
being
about now.
Yeah,
is how I would describe it.
That's how I would think about it too. Because like for the longest time, it was just ITC, right? And that's all you could do was play ITC. And now there's a bunch more popular means by which to gain kind of these various things. And ITC is now the official one because GW is kind of pushed behind it, right? But you can still do WTC, like you said. There are plenty of team leagues and things like that. There are tons of tournaments now, so you don't necessarily have to pull into a season-long thing if you don't want to. So, like, the focus doesn't need to be solely on ITC because it's not the sole focus of competitive 40K at this point. That doesn't make it, I think, any less important. It's just kind of like it has partners in crime now. That
you can care about ELO, you can care about the team circuit, you can care about the NTR stuff or the NTL stuff, is it, for the team circuit in the US? You've got local leagues like the Lord Marshal's Conference, like the stuff they're doing in Canada. Like there's so many other things you can care about, but if you want to care about ITC, it's still there and it's still the global system, right? Like it's the thing that there is no barrier to entry to being involved in the ITC. And I think that it is important to have something like that for people out there.
100%.
So yeah, outside of that, what else has been going on? So obviously, then I flew back and then I played Dispatch. I played the final the day after I got back and I got a little sick. And I've been trying to figure out if I'm seasonally depressed because I finished Dispatch, depressed because I didn't come second in the ITC, or just generally depressed. And it's been a really weird week for that. So yeah, that's been fun. Dispatch is great fun. Anyone should play it. You should vote for the Game Awards. I think that's the thing that's happening right now. Holy shit, was it just really, really fun. And I'm very glad I bought a laptop for it. I should play other games. Recommend me other games that are not live action. I need it to be turn-based. I need to be able to sit on my phone while I'm doing it. I have got Monster Train 2 installed and ready to go. So yeah, if you've got game recommendations that I can run on a reasonably okay laptop that will not run anything high fidelity, then hit me up. So yeah, it's been a weird month. I got a little sick. I started fucking tracking calories and all that stuff, which has been really weird because I'm treating it like chess clocks, which is kind of weird to think about. But like, that whole thing when you play a game with a chess clock, it's like I don't feel as bad about sitting and thinking about stuff because I know it's my time. That's how I'm trying to treat that stuff. It was obviously Blonde Blazer on the first playthrough as well. I think everyone should know that, and it was the only correct choice. Mixed signals are a no. Be an adult. I had a point. Sorry. So yeah, it's been very interesting to be like, hey, I can just eat up to what it says, and then like not beating yourself up over it and stuff like that. It's been helpful. But it also sucks. I'm also still keeping up the running and all that stuff, which has been miserable. I hate it. I hate it every day. But we're doing it. So life is chaotic right now. But yeah, that's it. I'll talk a bit more about the ITC season, and obviously I'll do a bit of a WCW recap. But yeah, like I said, I finished 24th. I played Creations of Bile. I lost in pods in the 4th round to Falco on Emperor's Children in a very tough matchup. And then I drew with Matt Geyer in the round 6 on supply drop, where I obviously went first and my objective disappeared first. For anybody who wants to know, we drew 49-49. Warp Talons are an abomination. And holy shit, are they just broken. If you are playing Chaos Space Marines and you do not have 10 Warp Talons, you should have 10 Warp Talons. They are genuinely disgusting, and I think every single game I play, I think across WCW, I probably spent 50 or 60 CP on them. Or just on this one unit across 8 games.
Yeah.
I think 5 to 6 CP a game was like bare minimum. They were an incredible reward for every single game. If you're going to play that list and you're interested in Creations of Bile, obviously I'll have a video going up about it when I get a chance. But you probably don't need 4 rhinos if you're not playing on unknowable GW terrain. If you know what terrain you're playing into and you have any way of knowing that it's going to be even a little normal, you can just play 3. It'll be okay. But yeah, List was super cool. Yeah, Warp Talons play really well into like Eldar and Admech and all that kind of stuff. I played Admech 3 times. Oh my god.
It's so much Admech, I won't lie.
I know. And I got two wins in the draw. I can't even complain, right? Like, it wasn't like my list was padded to Admech. Just, oh my god, they had so much stuff.
Yeah, they've gotten to the point where it's just like you have buffed them slightly too much and they have too many things. This might be too much, guys. Please stop and pull it back a little bit.
Yeah, like the game I played against Eero in pods, it was like we traded roughly evenly unit for unit for the whole game. And at the end of the game, he still just had 30 Sicarians left.
Yep. And then you're like, what? Yeah. I get that.
Also, every single time I like turn 1 charged, because I usually deploy the War Talons on the board in that list, I would like turn 1 charge a squad of infiltrators that my opponent put reasonably aggressively, because I went first like every single game because life sucks. I would like go first and I would charge a squad of infiltrators and I would immediately, without fail, battle shot my Warp Talons and not be able to rapid ingress them until the next turn cycle. And she's like, God fucking damn it. Every time. And all of the games would have been easier if that had not happened. And all of my opponents forgot immediately that I couldn't rapid ingress and had to be reminded. It's like, no, bro, they're battle shocked. I can't rapid ingress. It's okay. Yeah, keeping it real War Talents. I run 10 in my Soulforged Warpack list with literally 0 synergy. Yep, I had a client last year play Soulforged for WTC, and it was like, yep, you should play 10 War Talents in that list, and it was genuinely really good. I had a really, really good time with the list. It was great fun. Being able to do like one of the sickest plays I pulled off, which I'll just shout out now, was being able to my opponent lined up a bunch of Tau Flamers on 1 Warp Talon, and I killed him with the battle stratagem in the command phase to pull myself out of line of sight, give myself +1 toughness, fly over, tank the Overwatch, and charge them.
Nice. That's amazing, and I love everything about it. It's that's so much goofy nonsense, and I love it so much.
Yeah, the fact that like a couple of games I was able to like rapid ingress the Warp Talons, having failed a Dark Pact and regrow them onto primary. Yeah, no, you were like in some games you're like fishing to fail your Dark Pact on your Legionnaires to be able to resurrect outside the wall and stuff like that. It's so much fun. Bile is such a cool toolbox. The access to like the phase locked -1 to hit stratagem was great. I had a couple games where like I got charged by like 10 Votan Berserkers in my first game. My opponent, she charged me with like a 10 brick, and the Berserks killed 3 guys and Bile's little friend, and then died back in her turn. Just the full 10 man. I was like, oh, that's probably not normal, but let's move on with our lives. No, phenomenal fun. I had a great time at WCW, and anyone should let Anthony write their lists for them.
Also true.
All right. That's going to do for our introductory section. Nathan, do you want to talk a little bit about stats and how the game is looking over the last couple of weeks? Obviously, we've got WCW. We've just had like ITT. Obviously, ITT won't be in the stats because it's team event, but there was so many singles events. I think the Goonhammer guys were saying there were still 12 singles events this week, while there was also 600 players at team event in the UK. So
I'm going to do the last 2 weeks together is basically what I'm going to do, because we weren't here last week either. So I'm just going to sum them together. And over the last 2 weeks, there were 34 events. So that's a lot. There were over 2,000 players, and there were almost 12,000 games of 40K played over the last couple of weeks. That is a lot of all of those things. Our top performing faction, this is all sorted by win rate, so you all just have to hold on to your pants until we get to the other stuff. AdMech are the top performing faction of the week, of the 2 weeks, with 64 players, 3.1% meta representation, a 59.1% win rate, which is just too many wins. 2 event wins, 6 top 4s, 15 top 10s, and a 1.4 over rep. Sisters are up next. They had 62 players, 3% of the meta, a 56.1% win rate, 2 event wins, 6 top 4s, 10 top 10s, and a 1.46 over rep. And then Crawling out of their ambush tokens, back into the top 5 are Gene Stealer Colt. 40 players, 2% of the meta, which is actually an increase over the last few weeks. 55.3% win rate.
Shout
Three
out
top
to
fours.
Tucker or Ricky for going 6-2 with Brew Brothers at WCW with a list that I truly believe was pulled out of like the pale of the dustpan of guard armies. And also to Floof for winning best GSC at Cali Cup despite dropping for 2 of the games to go to the hospital.
Oh my god.
So,
Oh no. Floof. They still got 3 top 4s, 9 top 10s, and a 1.13 over rep. So
hell yeah, let's go GSC players. I'm proud of you.
Eldari are 4th, 108 players, 5.3% of the meta, a 55.2% win rate. They had the most event wins over the weekend with 6, 8 top 4s, 24 top 10s, and a 1.12 over rep. That is a lot of conversions to event wins, is basically what that is. 6 out of 8 of their top 4 placements just turned into event wins, which is a wild time. After that, rounding up the top 5 is Chaos Demons, who had 72 players, 3.5% of the meta, 53.4% win rate, 4 top 4s, 15 top 10s, and a 0.84 over rep. I'm glad that Chaos Demons are still just kind of chilling there in the top 5. On the bottom 5 end of it, we're going to skip over Imperial Agents. They did have 5 players, though. They just
didn't they win a GT this month?
They did win a GT, is what I was told. So they do have a GT win, just not in the 2 weeks of data. Blood Angels are the worst currently performing faction as by win rate. 72 players, 3.5% of the meta, a 45.2% win rate. They did, though, get an event win, 4 top 4s, 11 top 10s, and at a 0.84 over rep. Imperial Knights, second from the bottom, 73 players, 3.6%, 45.3% win rate, 2 top 4s, 6 top 10s, and a 0.4 over rep. I think GW might have possibly overdone it on that faction. I think
Imperial Knights are low-key fine, but
I mean, they're inside the win rate. They're just doing real bad on other stuff.
When we have armies like Eldar, Admech, and potentially new Ultramarines in the environment, a lot of depression is going to happen for the armies that just don't have a winning matchup into those. Imperial Knights into Eldar is like holy crap bad.
That's cursed, yeah.
So I would be very concerned about like being an Eldar, being a Knight player going into that environment with Eldar in the metagame. So I would be very hesitant about like the Spearhead of Arms list has so much stuff in it already. Like giving any buffs to that faction is very scary.
Yeah, I'm it's like this seems like perhaps not very good, but also at the same time, it's like half your army gets picked up by 110 mana fire dragons, basically. But kind of a mixed bag. Astro Militarm are third from the bottom, 75 players, 3.7% of the meta. 1 event win, 4 top 4s, 8 top 10s, and a 0.8 over rep. And Astro Militarm continues to be good. Fourth from the bottom is Emperor's Children, 62 players, 3% of the meta. A 46.5% win rate, 2 top 4s, 7 top 10s, and a 0.49 over rep.
I want to shout out Raven from the Spanish community for going for winning the Worlds bracket with Fulgrim and no winged princes in Peerless Bladesman. For anyone who is tired of the court replay style and wants something interesting you want to play, if you're playing on GW terrain format, that list is probably pretty fucking good.
And then fifth from the bottom is Adeptus Custodes. They had 70 players, 3.4% of the meta, and a 47.4% win rate. But they were tied with a bunch of other factions for second in event wins with 3 event wins, 4 top 4s, 12 top 10s, and a 0.86 over rep. So Custodes are fine.
I really like the Golden Horde list I've been playing, the Shield Host version, with the the version that I've been playing is 29 guard, 5 squads of 5, 1 squad of 4 with Draxus. One of the 5-mans gets the Ignore Cover Blade Champion, 1 squad of 5 Wardens with a Blade Champion, 3 Sister Squads, and a Calidus. Man, that list slams. It is so much fun in Shield Host. I've been having a great time with it, and I would highly recommend it to anyone who's looking to try something a little different. I know that there's been some variants of it floating around with like double Warden bricks or Venatari and stuff like that as well. Shield Host is in a pretty good space right now. I think it's a really, really solid, and Guard are cheap. Price to move. Full rerolls, crit 5s, sustained hits is a good place to be.
And then we're going to go through the event winners real quick, just for everybody. World Leaders had 123 players, 6% of the meta, making them the most popular faction in the last couple weeks. They had a 52% win rate, 3 event wins, 10 top 4s, 21 top 10s. That's so many top 10s. And for a 1.22 over rep. Drukhari picked up some event wins. They had 61 players, 3% of the meta, a 50.6% win rate, 3 event wins, 6 top 4s, 12 top 10s, and a 1.48 over rep. So they have bounced back from the initial doldrums quite nicely. Black Templar had 70 players, 3.4% of the meta, a 50.1% win rate, 1 event win, 7 top 4s, 15 top 10s, and a 1.5 over rep. I'll have to look at that later just to double check something. Oh, it's because they have 7 top 4s. Okay. Space Wolves finally managed to snag a couple event wins over the last couple weeks after being the only faction without one for a while. 2.8% of the meta, 49.4% win rate, 2 event wins, 3 top 4s, 8 top 10s, and a 0.78. Death Guard won a pair of events, 49.2% win rate, 9 top 4s, and 20 top 10s. Oh my God. 1.32 over rep. Chaos Space Marines won an event with a 49.1% win rate, 7 top 4s, 13 top 10s, and 1.24. Space Marines actually, Space Marines were the most popular faction of the weekend. I missed their 8.5. They were 8.5% of the meta, reasserting themselves above world leaders fully, finally, which is good. 3 event wins, 13 top 4s, 28 top 10s, and a 1.3 over rep. 1.13 over rep. And then finally, our event winners were Tau with 2 event wins, a 48.8% win rate, 5 top 4s, 11 top 10s, and a 0.87 over rep. Grey Knights with a 48.6% win rate. They had an event win, which is also their top 4, and then 5 top 10s for a 0.31 over rep, which isn't very good, but still converting a little bit. And then Necrons, 4.9% of the meta, 47.4% win rate. 1 event wins, 8 top 4s, 15 top 10s, and a 1.21 over rep. Honestly, the meta is very diverse in most ways. There's like 6 event wins concentrated into Eldari, which is perhaps too many.
Eldari and Admech and New Vitrix are a little too good, and maybe Retributors. And I think most of everything else is in a pretty good place right now.
Yeah, I'm going to pull up the last 4 weeks real quick because I just want to take a poke at something because I just want to see. I'm going to pull and see how we're doing for like the last 4 weeks-ish. Okay. I'm just going to wait to see. We'll see if this crashes Excel is really the thing that we're going to wait for. At the moment, we have only a few factions that don't have event wins considering the last 4 weeks, and that is Black Templar, Gene Stealer Colts, and Imperial Knights, because Imperial Agents have an event win. So this is going back to mid-October at the moment.
Black Templar players, you are worse than Imperial Agent players, because Imperial Agent players can at least convert at 26-player French GTs.
True.
And that counts.
It's just Imperial Knights who have a 0.3. If we look at everything all together by win rate, top performing faction is still Admech with a 56.8, with Sisters right below them at 56.4, and then Eldar at 54.9. I will say Sisters have 7 event wins in this data set, which is a lot.
Sisters are quite good.
And then at the bottom, it's actually Emperor's Children who have a 45.7% win rate, but there aren't any factions outside the win rate balance window, and there are 2 factions that are marginally over the win rate balance window that GW usually looks at. When you look at overrep, though, it's kind of a cluster. It's kind of a mess. 1.83 overrep for Admech and for Sisters, and a 1.43 for Eldari, and then most of the overrep is kind of concentrated into those 3 factions, with Tau having 1.4 and Imperial Agents having a 1.43.
I would definitely want to. I definitely don't think Tau need any major changes, especially since they just had the stealth suit change, which I really do think. I don't think it's like a damning blow to the army that's going to make them unplayable or anything like that. But the stealth suit change is genuinely meaningful for the way those lists are built, and will feel like what most armies would expect to see in like a nerf from like a 56% win rate, aiming to knock them down. Losing like 30 to 90 points on that list is genuinely a real change.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, we'll kind of have to see what the stealth suit kind of looks like. Some people were telling me in various discords that people have been moving away from stealth suits kind of already.
Some people have, yeah, but they're definitely they're still good, and you still see them 1 to 2 in most, at least in most lists. A lot of people are playing 3 anymore, but you still see a lot of lists with 3, especially Red Cadre lists.
Yeah. I still think I'm of the opinion though that outside of maybe a few factions, this is probably the most balanced 40k we've played in a while.
Yeah, it definitely is, and I think a part of that is that Admech and Sisters are 2 of the highest barrier to entry armies in the game. Which does keep their play rate down a little bit because they're just so expensive model-wise. Eldar are definitely Man, for their play rate, their win rate is way too high. For being like a comparable play rate often to like Space Marines, their win rate is insane.
Yep. But yeah, I think we'll have to wait and see now too for the next 4 weeks, kind of what happens kind of post WCW and what kind of fallout there is after that.
Yeah,
we've seen Ultramarines get new data sheets and a new detachment. I was sad that it wasn't a fourth version of First
I was
Company,
personally gutted that it wasn't Ironstorm.
But I guess this is where we can transition into talking about Ultramarines for a minute if we want.
Yeah, let's talk about Ultramarines. So they printed so the things we got the new Blade of Ultramar detachment, which specifically is Gladius Task Force with a couple of tweaks. One is that you have mastered doctrines instead of combat doctrines. So you have 3 once per games. One gives your army-wide advance and charge. One gives you army-wide advance and shoot, and one gives you army-wide advance or fallback, shoot, and charge. Those are called Assault Doctrine, Devastator Doctrine, and Tactical Doctrine. Mastered Doctrines means that if you have Calgar, when you would choose to use a doctrine, you can use one that you've already used. It still doesn't let you use more than 3 a game, but you can use like multiple turns of Devastator as long as Calgar is alive, for example. The only other majorly impactful change, I believe, is that the Fight on Death stratagem, the 2 CP Fight on Death from Gladius, is replaced with a 1 CP -1 to wound if strength is equal than or greater than toughness. Which is hilarious that it's equal to or greater than, because it does mean it can push things to winning on 5s, unlike most versions of the stratagem. That is then joined by Armor Contempt, put a unit in a doctrine, Lance +1 AP for the Assault Doctrine, Ignore Cover +1 AP in Devastator Doctrine, Reactive Move D6 for Infantry Mounted, Reactive Move flat 6 in Tactical Doctrine, and Armor Contempt, obviously. I think I already said that. That is the sort of general suite of Blade of Ultramar. I think for anyone who wants like real quick hot takes on it, Nathan, do you have anything?
It's a good detachment. I think losing Fight on Death is kind of a problem in some ways. There are some stuff I think that people will be playing that will kind of shove them back into the old version of Gladius. Like the old version of Gladius is still Gladius and is very good. And I think the 2 CP Fight on Death is really good for some of the units that I think people will be taking in the Ultramarines army. But having the flexibility of just being able to pick the 3 doctrines that you want, no matter what, is also a very powerful tool, like just generically.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that kind of fits my space of Blades of Ultramar is much better if you want to skew really heavily into shooting than it is into melee. The more melee centric you are, the better Gladius becomes, because the like a lot of the time when you play the melee army, you're going to do like 1 turn of Assault Doctrine and then 1 turn of Tactical Doctrine. And like, yeah, you have a turn of Devastator that you're not super using, but you're not often playing so many melee units that you can't just like throw one in with a stratagem and be kind of okay with that. When you're playing a shooting based army, the ability to have 3 turns of Tactical or Devastator is significantly more impactful. And I think the -1 to wound stratagem being unkeyed, meaning it works on anything, you can have toughness 12 -1 to wound Land Raider Redeemers, Repulsor Executioners, Vindicators, Lancers, anything in that space. Redemptors being a very frustrating one, or just putting it on like Gulliman, and it still works just fine with like your 1 unit of Blades of Ultramar or of Victrix Honor Guard with Calgar, because they are just effectively always in every doctrine anyway, because that's what Calgar's rule is. So you really don't have to work that hard. So you can kind of go for, if you want to go for a much more skewy shooting build, which I think is still really good. I think at the moment with Victrix being priced the way they are, it's probably not as good. But if Victrix were to see like any form of points adjustment, I think that would be really interesting to do. Like the version I drafted up was like load up Lieutenant Calgar with Gravis Calgar. I hate having to specify that, with 6 Victrix, and then like 2 Redemptors, 2 Vindicators, 2 Hammer Strikes, 2 Reapers was kind of like the space and then like 1 Incursors, 1 Intercessors was kind of the space that I landed in, as doing it as like an Ironstorm analog. And I think that's real solid. I would be very happy to play that if I was especially going into like a team event, knowing that I was going to be playing on light boards or anything like that, right? Like Space Marine shoots as hard as anyone. And you could still 100% play Gulliman in that space, right? Like that version doesn't have it, but you 100% could. I'm just going to say Calgar, and you can just assume that I mean Calgar Gravis Armor. And if I specifically say Calgar in Terminator, I'm talking about the bad one. Let's go with that. And that applies for now until new Calgar is playable. So yeah, I think that's kind of where we're at. Then we obviously got the points on the other stuff. So Calgar and Terminator Armor is 140 points, which I think just puts him at the point where like 60 points for 2 Victrix Guard and the Feel No Pain rule is insanely powerful. The fact that he has deep strike and that his ability is not keyed to leading a unit is not impactful enough for any of that. Like when he's by himself, he's still advanced shoots and charges.
Yep.
Fantastic. Not really that important. We got the points for Victory Scar, which I believe is 130 for 3 and 210 for 6, which is an absurd unit to give a points reduction to the big squad, because the big squad is better because Blood Surge is better on bigger units. I really expected it to be the other way around. Like I would have expected it to be like 120 and 250 if they were going to go with this price structure, or like 120 and like 120 260 maybe is what I would have expected to see. I think the 3-man squad being cheaper makes a ton more sense to me than the 6-man squad being cheaper. It's a very, very strange dynamic they went with for these guys. I don't even think the 3-man is too expensive. Like, I think if the 3-man was the only option you had, you would still play them over company heroes at 130. I think it's just the point of comparison to the 6-man that makes them look bad. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but
I do agree with you that
I get.
I do think they just did it backwards. Like the discount should have been on the 3-man because people aren't really going to take it as often. And
the point upgrade
putting it on the
small
6-man
squad can't be because of the upgraded dudes, because the upgraded dudes are epic heroes and you can only have one of them. So you can run 3 squads of them, and the first squad is only one of the squads gets each of the guys. The way I'm running it for my list, I'm running like 1 with the banner and 1 with the champion, so that I can have a bit of flexibility in like where I want the damage output. But in general, I think you could have just made those guys 10 points each for the upgrade and just had the unit be 120 and 240, or 120 and 240, and then those guys are 10 points each, and then it's 260 for the best squad. And I think that's probably where I would like to see it land. 210 is definitely too cheap.
I mean, it should have just been 260 for 6 and been done with it. Like
I
I get not wanting to maybe punish people who are just taking 6 flat Victrix, but I don't think anybody's taken that banner guy anyways. To be honest,
now he is as tall as Angron, but like
he's taller than an Armiger. Yeah.
His banner reaches above Angron's head. He's into the wings. So
that's so much. That's
so funny.
That is too tall.
He is 100% going in the squad with Ventress and in Deep Strike, so I don't have to hide this fucking thing.
Yeah,
but
I mean, 100%. I get it. I'm just like staring at it. I'm like, that is the guy who is the size of 3 Space Marines. He is 3 Space Marines tall.
What I don't understand why they're OC2. I don't understand why 260 for 6 is bad when -1 to it does it. 260 for 6 is not bad. The unit at 260 is better than Custodes Wardens and the same price with an extra model. Like I don't even begin to understand it. If the unit was just 260, like they would be a good unit, but they are 210 instead.
They're also just they have the best version of -1 to wound, which is just a flat -1.
Flat -1 to wound.
In all phases, both melee and shooting.
It
requires a leader, but that's not expensive.
Surprisingly good guns as well. Like that unit Storm of Firing is not nothing. It is 12 shots at 4-1-2, which then goes to 4-2-2 ignore cover, plus the character's gun. Sicarius gives them assault. Calgar gives them advance and shoot. So on the turn you're going in, often 2 squads of them are shooting. You have like a wealth of stratagems because you're playing Ultramarines. So, you know, Guilliman is just saying go, or Calgar is giving you a bonus CP anyway. You can have them in an impulsor. So like some of the versions you're seeing with like 18 are like Calgar with a squad of 6, Ventress with a squad of 6, and then you play like Kato with a squad of 6 in an impulsor. That impulsor gains scout from old Captain Sicarius, not the new one, the old one that gives you a reactive move, scout, and assault. And then you scout the impulsor forward. You then jump out of it. You then stage the next squad into it if you want to, or you just sit it there and you're like, if anything twitches within 6 or within 9, you flat reactive move 6 back into the impulsor and get out of dodge. And if they don't do that, then you just sit there and threaten to blood surge. It very, very obnoxious set of units. And for the points value, you get a lot too much stuff. Now I will shout out Thursday. I'm doing Thursday night fight night on 6++ again, which is their like TTS live play game. It'll be me playing against Nassim. I believe Nassim is playing 18 Victrix Guard, bunch of characters, and 3 Ballistic Dreadnoughts. I'm probably going to play Eldar for that one, but I'm open to suggestions. But just like I think I'll just play the other thing that I know best right now, and see if we can make it work, because we'll just play the 2 overpowered armies. But yeah, no, it's kind of crazy. This unit is way too good. For this weekend, I am playing them for my tournament. I'm playing Celtic Cup, which is our 100-player 7-round tournament in Scotland. I am playing Guilliman, Calgar with 6, Ventress with 6, Gravis Captain with Artificer Armor, lone up lieutenant, 1 intercessors, one incursors, 2 vindicators, and 2 storm speeder hammer strikes. That's what I'm playing for my 2,000 points for what I think I can do to win the premier event in Scotland. And I think I have as good a chance as any by playing Victrix cards right now, because man, they are really, really goddamn good. So yeah, they are.
There's very little slowing that unit down. They are
all ready and waiting to get paid. They're also like, I'm gonna be honest, they were kind of a bitch to build. The legs on one of them were so awkward, and I did not have fun building them. They were a mess, but we'll see. They also have capes, and I'm kind of tempted to leave the capes off on the second squad so I can tell the squads apart. But the capes do look cool.
Just paint them different colors. Give them different colored capes. And
nah, all my capes, all my Space Marines are black, so I kind of I want to keep the consistency. But
I mean, fair enough. I get it. I think those models look really cool. I don't like how good they are, but I think that they look really neat.
I hilariously did not find I find the banner the easiest part of the unit to build. It was the legs on the guy that's not the champion guy. They just they socket in really weirdly, and they want you to push it in together, and I didn't enjoy it. And also they just have that classic thing of Space Marine shoulder pads where the capes don't quite line up perfectly unless you're super precise, and I always find that a pain in the ass.
I don't know. I'm not excited to play into people playing 12 to 18 of them. It's not an exciting time in my life. I don't really want to.
Yeah, I will probably put a 2-fence piece on his base so that he doesn't.
I was gonna say, if you are having problems with it tipping over, let's get it 792. Put a quarter in the bottom. Or
so what I did for going over, I glued the banner pole to the arm and then let that set and then glued the arm on, and that seemed to be was definitely helpful because he didn't at all.
Yeah.
The banner didn't break at all because it was just not under stress while it was gluing together, which I would strongly recommend if you're going to build your ones.
100%.
So yeah, I'm excited for Celtic Cup this weekend. I think we'll see how the metagame shapes out, but there's a bunch of really good players going. Obviously, Bruce is there with his Emperor's Children. There's a few good AdMech players, a bunch of Emperor's Children. So we'll see if I can break my EC curse. But I'm feeling good about it. I think there's 70 Victrix card across the event, which is actually not as many as I thought it would be. For 102 players, 70 is actually not that crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I mean, I guess it's a lot given
it's
that
six. It's 6 or 7 people that have them. One guy has 18. I think there's 2 or 3 of us that have the 12 build, and then there's a couple people with 1 squad of 6.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think
part of it is it's probably hard to get them a little bit, but also
they're actually still in stock on the GW website, which is where I got my second 6 from. So
there you go.
I don't think it's
That's
crazy.
What you got to do. That's not so bad. Huh. All right, Innes, do you want to walk us through?
Yeah. All right.
Your WCW a bit, or
I don't want to walk through WCW. Season? I want to talk about this ITC season because it's been a weird year for me, and I kind of just want to vent a little bit to you guys, my parasocial relationship leaders.
Or do you want to talk about dispatch first?
No, we did I did the dispatch. I did everything I wanted to talk about for dispatch. I just wanted
to. The part where you were wrong. I get it. I got you. Okay.
You can't be wrong about an opinion. It's okay.
I mean,
I've done 3 playthroughs of the game already. I've done all of the versions. It's okay.
It is okay, and it's okay to be wrong. You are correct.
You are entitled to your terrible opinions.
All right, let's talk about your ITC season. What were your? I think start at the beginning and what were kind of your goals going into the ITC season?
Yeah. Okay. So this year was super weird. For anyone who doesn't know how this ITC season worked, last year, let's go back. Let's go right back to the beginning. Last year,
all the way back,
the 2024 season, we had a bit of a run for the final because Kyle Grundy was in first place, and we all collectively decided that we weren't letting him win the season. No offense to Kyle, but this was mostly how me and Nas decided we were going to make a push for it. So Nassim and I, and also Josh Roberts and a few other people, decided we were going to make a run for the ITC season. So I ended up doing a bunch of tournaments back to back that I wasn't really planning on doing. So I did Nottingham and LVO were the 2 that I kind of last minute audibled into being okay, I'll do it because I'm sitting in. I was sitting in first place going into a few of them, and then kind of caught up a little bit. I had a good run at War Masters and all that kind of stuff. I was like, okay, cool, I can make a go for this. So I was like, right, I'm gonna commit. I'll make a go. And I ended up losing the finals of Nottingham and then losing it in round 6 at LVO, and I ended up finishing second in the season by 5 points behind Josh Roberts, who ended up winning the season. Obviously, Josh is a Games Workshop employee, couldn't get the prize. I got my Eldar army. Wonderful, wonderful times because that was the prize. Now, that was in January this year, 2025. Now, if you know how linear time works, you might be realizing that this ITC season is less than a year later than that, and is in the same year. Now, I'm making light of it, but the reason for that is because Games Workshop acquired the ITC in the 2024 season, from what I understand. They made the decision to move the end of the ITC season to being at Worlds 2025. So this event just gone. Now, what that meant was it was either going to be a short season, it would only be running from sort of the middle of January to November, or they would backdate it to previous Worlds, and everything from last Worlds onwards would be included in this ITC season, which is what they did. So we went from having we ended up still having a full year this year, but it included the start of this year's season. So it included my 5-1 at LVO and my 6-1 semi-finals finish at Nottingham, which suddenly provided me with 2 incredibly good scores to foundation a season on. Now, a 10-month season, not a super long time, right? I know it is, but for, we're doing, on top of doing WC commitments and all that kind of stuff, right? It is hard to commit to doing the 10 or so good events you need to do to reliably put up 6 top scores to be in the top 5 or so. You probably need to do minimum 8 and really well at 6 of them. But realistically, doing 10 or so gives you a little bit of flexibility. Having 2 preset and already knowing that I was always going to do War Masters meant that I felt like, okay, I've just come second. I would like to try and do it for real this time. So this year I came into it very much with the idea that, hey, I've just been given 2 really good scores that no one else can to the same degree match, right? Nassim's were about the same, but I don't think Nassim was planning on making a run for it this year. So I was like, okay, cool. That's about as good a foundation as I'm going to get. So I made the decision at the start of the year that if I was doing well, I would, do my best to keep doing well. Now, between War Masters, Manchester, I finished top 4 and second at those 2 events, and then the 4th place finish at LVO or LGT even. I had 5 really, really, really good results coming this year, right? Obviously, none of them were wins, and that's a really, really weird place to be. It's been a weird year for that for me, and I know I've made a bunch of jokes about this on the internet and stuff like that. I have lost so many tournament finals and semifinals on stream this year. It is genuinely starting to drive me insane. I have not been able to. I haven't actually won a non-team tournament outside of Scotland this year, which is fine, right? No one's entitled to win a tournament, right? That's not a thing. But every single event I've gone to, I have fallen at the last hurdle, right? It's been, I went to Sweden and I lost in the last round. I went to, 6 or 7 super major top 4s and lost all of them at either the second to last or the last hurdle. And that is a little grating, right? It sucks a lot. I've started to feel like the guy that people beat to win a tournament, which is,
you
fine.
feel like the final boss.
Yeah. Or the semi-final boss, right? As the case may be.
Fair.
And that's fine. It's disheartening, but it's nice to always be in the conversation, right? I've never felt like I go to a tournament and I don't feel like someone who people are paying attention to, right? And obviously that's a nice place to be. But it's definitely been a difficult year for that, because it's definitely put me in a position of being like, man, I just kind of know I'm gonna fuck this up somehow. Is kind of in how it's been feeling for the last since War Masters, really. War Masters was probably the first one that it was really like, man, that one was a kick in the nards. Quote unquote winning the game on turn 5 but having to play a turn 6 because it was still a 10-10 and then losing on the return 6, conceding the turn 6 because there was no way I was winning at that position. That was a grim fucking feeling, and since then it's just felt like it's been more of the same, which is really rough. So yeah, coming into this ITC season, obviously coming Ben, if you say that, I'm gonna just punch you.
I mean, part of it is true, but also the other part that's true is you so consistently finish in the finals, which is something that most people cannot say, right?
That's the part that
finishing in the
really
top
annoying,
4
right?
consistently is amazing.
Oh man, I feel like I have to sit here and say this season was a failure or a disappointment, because the goal, really, the only thing that I would have been happy with was perfection, right? And that's a really, really difficult place to be going into an event like WCW, because it is an event of 400 incredibly accomplished players who have all earned the right to be there and who are going to give you a tough game on their medium day, let alone their best day. And most people are coming into Worlds on their best day. So I was a little upset going into it that I didn't really feel like any of my armies were in an amazing position, with the possible exception of Eldar, which I just didn't have the comfort in going in, right? And I spoke about this on the show a couple of weeks ago about playing the Creations of Bio list, because I was like, I'm going to try to take something that is a metagame call that I think will play well into stuff. because I don't feel comfortable playing the Elder Mirror match, which, as we saw, like the cop Liam had to go through 2 Elder Mirror matches. Like, it's Nick Nanavati and Folger Piles to make the finals. And man, is that not a run that I would have wanted to sign up for?
No.
So, I was happy with my decisions for certain. But it certainly does come into it and being a little bit like the only way that I was ever going to be happy was ultimately ITC was the goal. WCW was a nice side benefit that I would have been happy to do well at. I was just hoping to do better than Folger and Scary. And unfortunately, that didn't come to be. Folger obviously made top. I think Folger finished 5th, so he did have a phenomenal run. And Folger, to his credit, has had a very, very similar year to me. We were talking about this about that. He has got a lot of seconds and thirds and fourths, but crucially, he did win Nova, and he fucking closed the tournament. So his 6 results have 5 very similar results to mine: seconds, thirds, fourths, fifths, and 1 first place. And I don't have a first place in my 6 results, and that is why I didn't win this season. So ultimately, I need to figure out how to close in those finals, and I need to figure out for me if it's a stress thing, if it's if it's a stage fright thing. Like, it could be anything, right? It could just be not being good enough, and I need to get better. I need to work on myself, and I need to find a way to do better in those situations. It might be, and this is what I've been like. One of the things that I've been really conscious of, and one of the things that I've been pushing me for my taking better care of myself, is that every single person that I lost to in the finals this year was a skinny bastard. I lost to Scary in round 6. I lost to Alex Harrison at Manchester. I lost to Alex Sacco at LGT, and they are all in much better physical condition than I am. I think I'm going to put it that way. And they are going to be, Alban at War Masters, they are all going to be less tired than me as a bigger guy at these tournaments. And they are taking better care of themselves. They're eating better. They are treating themselves better. And that has been one of the drives for me for this year of being like, I actually need to take better care of myself if I want to be less fatigued going into these tournament finals and having taking as much of it off of myself as I can to do better in these positions. And that's one of the things that's been pushing me towards doing better. And I think that's the thing that I am very conscious of trying to do better at this year. I get away with it a little bit in Scotland because I am generally better than the scene here. Not everyone, but generally I can get away with it a little bit. But at these other events, when I'm traveling, especially when I'm traveling overseas or I'm traveling long distances to go down to England or America or Sweden or anything like that, and I'm playing these games and I'm not taking care of myself, I am definitely leaving percentage points on the table. And in the position that I'm in, where I have lost 2 seasons now by a combined total of less than 8 points, need to do better, because there is only so much I can do, and I think that's a place that I can do some exploration. I think there's a lot of stuff on this that goes into like playing better, taking better lists, and all that kind of stuff that I can continue to work on. Right, everyone is still growing at 40K. We're all still getting better, but that's been a driver for me, and I think that's an important thing that I wanted to say here. So we're working on it. I was making jokes in the health channel in StatCheck of get fit to stop Scary, and it did work. Scary did finish 6th, so
I mean, I think the biggest thing is like when you're at kind of the point where you're at, where you're like looking at closing events, you still like getting first place overall in the ITC is like a really hard goal to attain no matter what, right?
Yeah, there's only like 30,000 people competing for it every year,
Yeah.
right?
And there's definitely like the difference between you and Folger is like 3 points or something like that,
2.8
right?
something points,
So,
I think.
like when
Look,
you
I
set
am
that
certainly
goal, it's like definitely a goal that you can set in us because of like the position you are in as a player. But it's also, you would never let a client set any kind of goal like
100%.
that,
It's
right?
like that's the worst part about it, right? Like, I know it's it's just an ego thing, right? Like the
Mhm.
difference between first and second is fucking immaterial. Folger did amazingly this year. He deserved his win, but I wanted it real bad.
I know, but
So
and
how do you like, that's the problem for me right now, is how do I take something productive out of this? How do I come out of this experience and go, okay, here's how I do better next year? But like, what does doing better next year even fucking mean when you finished second?
means you finish first. That's like
I know, but
but
that's like, that is the height of hubris, right? Like, what am I meant to say? The only way that I will be happy with next season if it's perfect. That's not
I think
realistic.
it's yeah. And I think there's like better goals to set, right? When you
There
talk
is.
about goal
I'm not
setting and
going
stuff
to
like that.
set them.
Like the first thing to set, like if you were thinking about a more achievable goal, is like, well, I should win one of the events leading into my ITC score.
Yeah,
Right.
that'd be really nice. Yeah.
Like if I'm gonna do 8 events again this year, trying to win ITC, and like that's the end goal. The first better goal is to be like, hey, Folger Piles is in chat saying hello. There you go.
Hey, Folger, I am happy with my run, right? Like, I don't
Yeah.
want to be like, that's the worst part about it, right? I am incredibly proud of the work I did this year in the place that I finished, but I also know that I could do better, right? That's
Yeah.
it's a
I
really
think
weird spot to be in.
you're running into like a really interesting question that I think a lot of people run into, right? Is how do you set goals, and how do you set goals after something like is disappointing to you, no matter what? Finishing second would be most people's goal, but that doesn't mean it's not disappointing for you as the person who did it, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so coming out at the other side is definitely like, how do I set a new goal, and how do I improve 3 points out of 1700, right? Or whatever it was.
Yeah, exactly.
And what does that look like? And part of it is, I think it's too soon to like make a decision about what your goal would be. I think
Exactly.
it's
I've
too
not
close
like
together.
I'm kind of right. So right now, the question for me that I'm making a decision on, I am captain of Team Scotland again this year. I was not captain of Team Scotland in 2024. I am captain in 2025 or 2025 into 2026 or 20 whatever.
Mhm.
Um, that is going to put a lot of demands on my time. This is my full-time job. I can do tournaments. Like that's not really a struggle. But I also need to make a decision about some things like, am I going to I was genuinely, after playing round 6 at Worlds, I was like, I might just not play any tournaments that aren't on WTC terrain this year. I might just not do it because I don't enjoy playing other formats as much as I enjoy playing WTC. But if I want to make top of the ITC, I'm not going to be able to do that. That's just not a thing I
Right.
can follow through on. So there's definitely like, which way Western man decisions to be made here, right? Of am I going to go, I'm already looking at like, okay, I could do I could do Leicester in 2 weeks' time, but there's a team event in Scotland. I'm doing that instead. I'm probably going to do Nottingham in January. I could do Manchester in February. I always do Manchester, but unfortunately, I've top four Manchester, I think, every time I've played it except one. And I've won. It's one of the few that I've won. But instead, I think we're probably going to do Pyra. And it's like I'm having to make all these choices already about like what does my season look like, which, yeah, it does. The more shots you take at first place, the better a chance you have of getting it, right? And that's a lot of what people talk about when they're like, yeah, it's a numbers game ultimately, right? Can you do 12 super majors? If you can do 12, it's much easier to win one or two of them and get those top scores. So there is definitely some decision points to be made here. Am I going to do LVO this year, right? LVO is after Worlds. I theoretically should, if I want the points, I should do what Scary did this year and do like the back to back of LVO and LGT, because that will be two incredibly good scores. And
Yeah.
yeah, and I think that there's a ton of decisions to be made here, and I'm not ready to make them yet. I need to see what the season looks like, and obviously the Team Scotland commitments. Like one of the biggest goals for this year is to maintain and prove we deserve our Pool 1 seed at WTC. Having gotten there this year, right? Like as captain, I want to push Team Scotland to be the best it can be, and like keep
Mhm.
growing the Scottish community to be stronger. And get more than one Scottish person to WCW would be amazing. I know that like I was posting a bunch in the Scotland Discord and trying to get people like hyped up for it so that they want to try for next year and try to win some golden tickets. Maybe get some golden ticket events in Scotland even would be really awesome. But at the moment it was only me. And 2 years ago when I went, it was only me and Brian. So in two WCWs I've done, there's been 3 Scottish representatives and I've been 2 of them. It'd be nice if there was
Yeah.
more, right? So there's a lot of other things that I could look at this year and go, I don't have to make the chase for ITC. I've finished top 10 in the ITC every year since COVID. I don't feel like I'm chasing to prove something to anyone but myself now. But I really, I spend a lot of time with me, right? So
You, in fact, I would say spend the most time with yourself. Yes.
so yeah, there is. So that's my prevarications on the 2025 season. I appreciate you guys bearing with me as I vent a little bit. Massive congratulations to Folger for finishing first, Conan Jennings for coming out of, I don't want to say nowhere, but coming out of the doldrums to finish third, to Ben Jones for finishing fourth, also playing the only other player from the UK in the top 10, and then everyone else for doing that, and Scary. Massive props, man. 6th place was an incredible finish doing it from Canada because, man, you guys are terrible at Warhammer. And you placing 6th despite that was an incredible achievement.
Damn it, it is.
Love you, really. And Liam VSL, 13th in the ITC despite only playing like 3 tournaments. Fucking
Yeah.
hell yeah, man.
Amazing,
what a
really.
champion. You are my hero. And I wish that I was as good at Warhammer as you are, Liam, because you make me, every time I watch you play, you make me want to be better.
Oh, that's like the nicest thing you could say to somebody, really.
All right.
You want to do plugs?
Yeah, we should probably do the plugs and then some questions, and that will be a vaguely reasonable approach to how this week has gone.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go and scroll and find the stuff. All right. thank you so much, everybody, for being with us so far. We're going to have a little bit of a break now to do some plugs, and then we'll be back with some show questions. If you'd like to support the work we do, you can check out patreon.com/statcheck. $5 a month gets you access to our Patreon Discord. You can have a chat with us. You can make fun of me in much more easy ways. You can make fun of Isaac. You can take part in our TTS leagues and all that good stuff. You can see our lists and all that stuff before it goes live. As well as chatting with us before and after the show and asking us questions. You can also do that by joining the YouTube membership program, which is in the description below. If you're not in a position to do that, and you'd like to support us in some way anyway, you can do all the usual things, all the social stuff, like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend. It really does help us out. We have to say it every week because otherwise people don't do it, but it truly is appreciated, and we really do our best to read and respond to all the comments that you guys write. So if you want to have a chat with us about anything, you want to tell me which of those trophies you think was cooler, just remember, this one lights up.
Mm-hmm.
It lights up. Look, that's cool. I have 4 of these because I got 3 vested factions as well. I could have my entire house looking like a really, really sad nerd party. So yeah, please do check that out. If you'd like to hear any of the other shows on our network, like Take All Comers, and I think it's just Take All Comers recording at the moment, and End of the Matrix recording at the moment, as well as back episodes of X and One, Champions of 40K, and obviously ourselves. You can check out youtube.com/statcheck, and you can catch us live every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. UK time at youtube.com/statcheck for the live show. You can check out all of our sponsors. That's red-dragon.ca, saltargames.co.uk, whalen-yutani-inc.com, and etsy.com/shop/day15games. You can find links to all of those in the description below if you're looking for terrain, gauges, maps, anything you're looking for in any region. Go and check it out. There'll be one that supports you and is amazing for what you do. You'll also find discount codes for a bunch of them in the description. Lastly, if you're looking for coaching from any of our wonderful coaches, including the incredible Liam VSL, myself, Nicholas Olsen-Johnson, Tyler Bertel, Pumba, or Lucas Trawler, you can check out stat-check.com/coaching or drop us an email at coaching@stat-check.com. I am now mostly back from Worlds and all my eventual travels, so I am going to be very, very available over the sort of like the next 4 weeks over Christmas. So if you're looking to get something on the books for whether you're prepping up for an event in January like Las Vegas Teams or Nottingham or anything like that, get in touch. I'll be more than happy. I've got plenty of time over Christmas. I'm taking a week off to go to Prague at some point, but like that's like the 21st. No one's going to want to talk about Warhammer on the 21st of December. I hope anyway. Otherwise, we're going to move over to the show questions. As always, there are 3 ways to get your question asked and answered on the show. One is to leave it in the Patreon Discord in the show questions. One is to leave a super chat, which we do have a couple of to get to. And the last is to just ask a really good question that we want to answer if we have time. I will start super quickly with the super chat. Thank you to that one guy for Gotta Run for Work. How final day in this? Make a decision on turn 1 about whether you're going to try and kill your opponent or if you're going to just gargle on their side objective for 3 turns while you try not to get tabled yourself and then win by 5. Occasionally, las cannon your opponent in the face until they fall over dead. That's more or less final day.
All right. Now we're going to go into the rest of the show questions. These will include questions from last week. If you want to add it to the Patreon Discord show questions thread, it's in show questions ? The first one is, to everyone, what's a list that you were expecting at WCW but would love to try? You weren't expecting at WCW, would love to try next. Honestly, I really want to try the list that Anthony wrote for Innis because it just seems kind of fun. I don't know. A list with warp talents just seems kind of neat to me. But Innis, you were there. Was there a list at WCW that you really wanted to try?
I continually in that boat of like, man, I really want to play 80 Spine. I want to play the Spine Gods list. So Sam Pope's list was super fun to watch him play a little bit and kind of get a feel for. Playing like the triple X screen, 30 Gene Stealers, 80 Spine Gods looked super fun. He went 8-1 with it. His only loss was in the Shadow Round to Richard Siegler, who obviously won the tournament. So he basically finished second, as far as I'm concerned, with Tyranids, which is just an incredible achievement. There's been a bunch of really cool work coming out of the Tyranid space from players like Eric Latharis, Alex Engelzos, and Sam Pope right now. So it seems to be a good time to play Terrors, despite how I feel about the army. So I'm definitely keen to get that on the table a little bit. I've been playing a little bit of Nicholas Friction Scintillating Legion list, the like Lord of Change, Double Lord of Change, and Kairos list. That's been super fun. Really, really good into World Eaters. I don't think he did pretty well with it. I don't think he did amazingly. I know he lost his round 1, but like it's a super cool list, and I'm a big fan of the like the German innovations there. Ravens. Piero's Bladesman list that I mentioned earlier, the like Fulgrim plus Flawless Blades list, looked super fun. I don't know if it's quite my style, but it's the kind of list that like I bounced super hard off of Corey. I did not enjoy it. So maybe there's something in there that I would find a little bit more enjoyable. I might give that a try at some point. But Bruce would kill me if I tried to take Emperor's Children off him, so that's unlikely. just Liam. I want to try Life's avatar version of the aspect host list as well. I've not played with my avatar. I painted him up all nice and pretty, and I definitely want to get him on the table at some point. So Life's version of the aspect host list. I don't actually like it very much, but it does look like a ton of fun. So yeah, definitely give it a shot. Daniel, if you drop Nathan a message on Discord, he can help sort you out, or Jeremy.
Yep, or send it to our contact email account.
Yeah, or our
any of those three.
Yeah,
but any of those three, we'll take care of it.
We'll not just provide a direct link, unfortunately, because otherwise we'll have tons of spam.
Yes. All right. The next question is from Logan, which is, does it take more or less skill to win a tournament with unknown mission and layouts? How would you approach list building for that kind of event, assuming just don't go isn't an option?
So I could speak a little bit to this. WCW obviously didn't provide list missions or layouts in advance, and you kind of have to go into it assuming the worst. What is the worst possible terrain layout that you could have to play on against the worst possible army? Can you play that game? If not, you should probably rethink your list or accept that there is a failure point that you will just have to account for. Now, that was kind of the reason behind like the 4 Rhinos version of the Bile list. I don't think 4 Rhinos is the best way to build Bile, but I do think it is the most terrain agnostic way to build the list that will function on anything at least reasonably. And you can kind of see that from, my day 3 games on layout 3 were against Eldar and Admech, and I did not lose either of them. I didn't win both of them, but I didn't lose either of them. Against Tau and Admech. There is plenty of room for just building a list. Like, I think the question of whether it requires more or less skill, I think ultimately it's a little less skillful because it kind of just rewards the person whose army got a little luckier and suited better to the tournament. The person who hedged their bets the most and just was like, I'm just going to take the bet that I don't play anybody good on my bad layouts or stuff like that. That's not necessarily skillful. Now there is a degree of like your personal like risk tolerance that is definitely part of the skill set that goes into 40k, but definitely not a thing that I think is a skill testing on the table thing. I don't think that's particularly important.
I mean, sometimes you just got to bring your ruins with you, and sometimes those ruins are rhinos.
If Games Workshop won't give you terrain, store brought is fine.
Yep. Yates has the next question, which is, when playing a particularly elite army against a more MSU/Horde army, what informs your decision on whether to kill units versus consolidating points?
How many points have they scored, and how much are they likely to score? Very often these games look like damage rushes where it's just you have got to get them killed before they score points, and then you can worry about picking up your score later. Generally, that's how I prefer to approach it, but you have to be really careful about threading the needle and not just like binning points off too hard. If you're just like, not double discard these cards, go for damage, and you do that for like 2.5 turns, it might be too late, and you've got to recognize and know quite well how soon too late is. A skill that comes with time and is very matchup specific and mission specific as well. That's going to work a lot better in a mission like Terraform or Scorched Earth, where you have a bunch of ability to catch up on late game scoring, as it is on a mission like Supply Drop, right, where there's only so much you can catch up.
100%. You also have to just look at your efficiencies, right? Like, how efficiently are you actually doing that with your activations? Like, if you're not efficiently doing it, you can't just try to out damage rush them, basically. But
yep, exactly.
That one guy has the next question, which is, Anthony, it's a question for Anthony. Can you write Innis a final day list that isn't pocket sand for damage, since you're writing all his lists these days?
Sorry, I sent him Alex McDougall's WCW list, which he'll
just
play if he wants to do that.
How do you guys assess the market for new podcasts, i.e. Enter the Matrix, X and 1, etc.? Need some more X and 1 content in my life. I can, I guess, say that we do have a new show coming out soon. It is mostly not X and 1
based on hosts. Do we have a host who is willing to do it that we are comfortable working with? If yes, cool. If not, then it will not happen. That tends to be it's very much, we are a people driven, more weirdly for being a data podcast, we are more people driven than data driven with this stuff.
Yes. And part of it too is like, even past having people, it's like, you need to have people who you think are dependably going to put out content on a regular basis and stuff like that.
Except the end of the Matrix guys who are as dependable as a block of Swiss cheese.
But there's so many. There's so many of them though that eventually they'll hit what they need to hit.
We very much, like, our philosophy with podcasts is we want to provide a platform for people that we like and believe have a good vision to create the thing that they want to do for as long as they want to do it. We are not going to go chasing for people to fill a demographic. If there is not people that we want to bring it to us, that's kind of where we're at with it. So yeah, for the time being, we are, we're not, we don't actively hunt for new podcasts. I think that's kind of how I would describe it.
Yeah, we do occasionally, like, if you have a cool show idea, you're welcome to like float it past one of us if you want. I just will say that we are very choosy with what we pick to
Yeah.
do at
You
this
really
point.
ideally should probably already be friends with us.
Yeah,
Like we're very
we have to
nepotistic.
know we have to know you at least is the truth of it.
We
All
don't
right.
want to give you the codes to our email unless we really like you.
Yeah, there's a lot of keys, and we don't want to give them to you,
For sure.
unless we know that you're reasonably reliable. Truman has the next question, which is, how far in advance did WCW players get to know missions / layouts? How far in advance was it?
We got them on the day we showed up. So
There you
the like check-in was available. The event was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Check-in was open on Wednesday night. In the check-in pack, the mission pack was provided in the check-in pack. So you got them that night or that morning if you showed up on the day and didn't have friends in the group chat that had already checked in.
There you go. Frank has the next question, which is, as the newest recipient of a kill team unit, will Wolf Scouts be utterly terrible or absolutely break the game?
Oh yeah, we
So
didn't even speak about them this week because they're just kind of okay.
they're like
They have a
incursors,
haywire
but
mine
with
and a
an
bunch of
extra
fast
guy.
pistols. That's fine.
Yeah, they seem fine. They seem a little expensive for what they do, perhaps, but that's about it.
Yeah, I agree. 115 seems like a lot.
Yeah.
Thanks, Matt.
Next one is from Jeff, which is Fulgrim playable? Is Raven just built different? GW Terrain trademark things.
Look, I watched his game against Conan in round 8, and I certainly watched Fulgrim one tap a squad of 10 Vanguard veterans because Conan couldn't roll a 5 up. And that definitely made him look incredibly unbalanced. Do I think Fulgrim is cheap enough that if you want to play him, you can make him work. I think that is where I'm happy to leave him and about the furthest that I'm willing to let him go.
There you go. The next question is from Seth, which is, not sure there will be a show tonight, which was true. We did not have one. But if there is, what was the biggest surprise from the event?
I mean, like, the unranked French players making top 16 wasn't a surprise because we all knew that was going to happen at least once. I mean, Mark Hertel making top 16 with the triple land raider list was kind of wild. I know his pod was not the most competitive, but he did make top 16. I'm pretty sure he got like battered in the top 16 pod, but he still made it, and that's very impressive. So well done to Mark for doing that with the triple land raider list. I would not have bet on that, like agnostic, apropos of nothing other than it being his name. Same thing to Dan Salmons with his triple indirect AdMech list. He had the 3 Belarus or the 3 indirect disintegrators, which was super cool. I don't think he did amazingly in the top 16 either. Steve Trimble made top 16 with Spectacle of Strife Drakari, the like 30 Hellions list that charges you in your turn. That was super cool to see. He went 7-1 with that. That was a really cool list. It did really well. Those are kind of the big ones. And then I already spoke about Sam Pope's list. They kind of just like, those are the things that were the biggest surprise. The other biggest surprise was that we played layout 6 on sweeping engagement. Or we played layout 3 in round 6 on sweeping engagement, and I went first in supply drop because the game hates me.
All right. Will F has the next question, which is, how do you think AdMech high price point to entry has affected the stats over the past few weeks? Also, is there a reason, in your opinion, that despite their strength, they have failed to convert into as many event wins, or does it just come down to more standard things like luck, players, win path, etc.? I think this is a little weird because they've been number 1 in the stats by win rate repeatedly over the last month. That army is really expensive, but there are people who have them from 9th edition when Eldari were, or not Eldari, but AdMech were extremely good. And the list has changed a bit, but not like crazily since then.
I think
like
it's just a slightly harder list to play than it looks.
I do think that. I do think the army is like just a little bit more brittle than people expect it to be. Like just a little bit, not a lot of it.
Like I played against 3 people playing Halo Screed, and it's a very different beast to Skitarii Hunter Core. And I think most people that are playing Skitarii Hunter Core or that are not playing Skitarii Hunter Core should be. And I think that would definitely help. As cool as Halo Screed is, like the double destroyer bricks and stuff like that, like it's harder to play and a bit more fragile. The like just drown you in chickens list just is a math equation, and people don't like playing math equations, and I think that's a very real part of it, is that people want to play something a bit more dynamic with a bit more punch, rather than just being like, here is a problem you cannot solve. Yeah.
I honestly don't think at the top level of competitive play that cost is as much of an issue as people think it is, and I'll just say that. Hobby time might be, but also some of the armies at WCW did not look amazing.
Hey, look, I painted the Pokemon Rhino to be a Scotland flag, so I think mine looked amazing.
It did. Yates has the next question, which is, how much do you think a Vector is worth? I've been running a Calidus Assassin with pretty nice success. though a good amount of that has also come from loan up and kind of funny weapon profiles.
Vector is really good. People are very greedy with stratagems, and people often play detachments to have access to specific stratagems. Being able to restrict that is very important. A lot of the reason that my list worked into AdMech was that when I went first, I was able to put Cypher in range of an infiltrator squad and then turn a one charge it with Warp Talons, knowing they couldn't react to move away, and that only works if you have a Vector. So there is a bunch of incentive towards having that kind of mechanic in the game right now, and I would strongly recommend, if you're playing an army with access to a reasonable one, then that you should consider it.
I will say, my experience with it, playing with Lady Malice and Drukhari, has been that model is key to your success in a lot of situations, because that Vectora does a lot of work for you in a lot of matchups.
I played a test game into Drukhari a couple yesterday, and the fact that I was able to get to 7 CP plus a free strat from Guilliman on my go turn was the only reason that game didn't fall apart. And not a lot of armies can get to 8 CP plus or 7 CP plus a free strat to have access to Armor of Contempt plus Interrupt plus Fight on Death. And it was the only reason I won that game. So, or I was able to be in a position to win that game. So, yeah, if most armies can't do that, then that means that you win that game against most armies.
100%. All right, next question is from the other Dave McLeod, which is, why is Innis not running Max Victrix Guard at Celtic Cup? And did Josh or Anthony write the list? Has Josh ever written one of your lists?
Josh has not. No, Josh has never written one of my lists. I wrote that list as a tongue-in-cheek thing about Josh having played Ultramarines before and this being an Ultramarines attachment. I am not specifically saying that Josh wrote my list. Please do not take that from what I said. No, I'm playing 12 because I think 12 is better than 18. Ultimately, I played a few practice games with 18. I wasn't all that impressed with it. I think that I want to play Guilliman. And Guilliman plus 18 is too much. So the thing that for me came out was the third squad, not Guilliman. You could 100% go the other direction, but I think the way that John described it, so John in the Artwar Discord, I think described it as you have 4 budget points for melee stuff. Victrix Guard counts as 1, Gravis Calgar counts as 1, Guilliman counts as 2, and you make your decision. You get 4 budget points. Now I've gone a little heavier. I've got Guilliman for 2, Gravgar, and 2 Victrix Guard. So I've spent 5 points on my melee stuff because I think I'm playing on WC terrain. It's a little more melee centric. The second that you want to have like the extra 1, you're spending like 6 budget points on that, and you don't have enough other stuff. So you need to make a concession somewhere. And for me, that concession was that I'm going to not play the third squad. For some people, it will be that you will just not play you will just not play Guilliman, and that's totally fine. That's just a different list.
Yep. I think 18 is too many, actually, just to be totally honest. It just feels like it's too many.
Great. You just can't play Guilliman with it.
Yep. I think 12 gives you the flexibility. All right. Next question is from Tom, which is, as a tangent to Willow's question, should more expensive armies get higher power floors to offset the cost? This is a joke in parentheses.
Yes, but only GSC. I should get crit 5s back as a 1 CP as a treat.
Absolutely not.
That's fair.
Isaac Shadow Crayon has the next question. I love that. That makes me so happy that it's Shadow Crayon. What does watching me play 40K make you feel, Innis? Keep in mind, I have a 100% win rate.
I have never watched you play 40K in my life, and you can't make me.
And then when will I start getting paid for being part of StatCheck advertising material?
I could be talking about any Isaac. There are like 4 of you. Prove it.
Oh, I don't think any of that's official advertising material from us. That's definitely what I'll say. Gene Stealer has the next question, which is, what do you think are the major differences between practicing IRL versus in Tabletop Simulator, and how do you approach practice for 40K? Certainly
for me, I care a lot less about games on TTS. I don't have that like physical investment in the game from like being present at the table. I find it harder to like visualize angles and threat ranges and all that kind of stuff. So I tend to just like make sloppier mistakes with it. That's the biggest difference for me. But also the ability to get more repetitions and being able to do like you can rehash positions much quicker on TTS. So I find TTS is a lot better for drills and like, okay, let's like test what deployment looks like on this matchup and like let's throw turn 1 at each other and see how it goes. But once you start getting into like the macro late gamey stuff, I find that for me, it's much harder to focus on that stuff on TTS than it is in real life. I just think that any game you can play in your underwear is just inherently going to be less important than a game you play at a tournament. And that's just is part of that for me.
I think there's always just a part of it where you have to actually touch the models and like physically move them around a table that will help you prepare you for.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to touch a bit of grass, and TTS does not encourage that.
Yeah, I also think having played armies only in TTS and then gone to events and played them in person, it's so very different sometimes just tactily moving things around and like dealing with actual terrain.
There's also just been like
frequently ideal terrain sets. Like
one of the like
all
weirdest
the GW
things that
ruins are
occasionally comes
maximally
up as
toned.
well is like 1 in 3 Custodes bikes has their spear pointing directly in the air, and the other 2 have it pointing down. If your TTS models do not have that, you are going to stage them in places you could not stage them otherwise, and vice versa, right? You might have used a model, like you might be using the default Lord of Change on TTS, which I've mentioned recently, who is playing with the sword that sticks out about yay far. And if you play it with the staff crosses your chest, and you can hide so much easier, but you also can't cut as many fine angles, stuff like that. So you have to be really careful with that stuff because you don't always get perfect visuals, right? The Storm Raven model on TTS is a little bit of an abomination, all that kind of stuff. Captain Sicarius or Ventress in the second picture. For me, I'm running Ventress. I really like having access to the Vector and being able to give either Calgar, Ventress, or the Gravis Captain Deep Strike, just depending on the matchup. But if you're playing 6, you would play Captain Sicarius, which is the one with Scout in the 3rd squad, I think.
Then Jinjuice has the next question, which is how horny can an opponent's models be before you say or do something about it?
I am very socially anxietied. I simply will just not do that.
I'm gonna be honest. If your models get to the point where I'm going to be complaining about them, I might have frozen. Like if I actually get to the point where I'm going to go to a judge about it, your models have to be pretty horny. And
yeah, like that's real bad.
You also,
you
as a person, know what that point is. Like Slaanesh models are kind of at that bridge of too horny sometimes. Like if you are playing with an army that's significantly hornier than a Slaanesh army already is, you are doing something a little too horny at the table. Just put it out there.
Broadly say that that's a fair line to walk.
Yeah, if you come to the table with all war games, what is the 3D? Not war games. It's like
war games exclusive or whatever.
War games exclusive models for your AdMech army, where they've got like all triple D tits out, like extremely horny pinup models. I probably will be giving you fucking side eye the whole game.
Yeah, I will be weirded out, but I will not say anything because I have social anxiety.
I'm not gonna. I won't say anything because it's like, why are you doing this? If your models are actually inappropriate, though, in some way, like you're making other kinds of like socially inappropriate jokes with your models and how they're horny, then I will tell it to you about.
Yeah, I would much rather play against the horny guy than the Nazi guy, for what it's worth.
Yes. If your models are painted, I'm much more likely if you come up to the table with a Confederate flag or Nazi army to report you to a TO. I would just will.
However,
that's just fucked up.
The one guy that I once played against, a guy who was wearing the porn face like t-shirt just like covered in it, and I 20-0'd him as quickly as I could to get away from him because I was
also reasonable. All right. And then Floof has the last question, which is Floof. Well, Floof, #1 fan of unions, has the last question, which I like. And they are asking, am I insane, or are there things like triple race or triple ACDC that are still good things to run, but people just don't? Is it out of boredom, or is it for annoyingly defensive units?
There's a little bit of like, hey, it doesn't really matter how good your stat check is right now. Chaos Knights are better. That makes it a little tough to play some of that stuff, right? Like the matchup for that for ACDC particularly into Chaos Knights is not super great. The triple wraith stuff is like, it's fine, but it's not the best way to play Necrons. So people tend to like, you saw some stuff like Fritz Peters' WCW list had 1 brick in Star Shatter. We've seen the Dennis's version for LGT was playing 2 bricks in Star Shatter, right? There's still people playing double wraith. I think Canoptic Court is just a little. It remains to be seen if the new edition of the what are they called? Like the macro site guys, the little guys. What are they called? The new Crypto Thralls from the Kill Team set have the Canoptic keyword and can join Immortals and Warriors, which would be kind of interesting because you can now give those things the access to stratagems of Canoptic Core and full reels of Canoptic Core, which I think does genuinely introduce a new play pattern that might be quite powerful. And I would be interested to see how that works if people are interested in exploring that direction. But right now, I think it's a little played out. It's been good for the whole edition, but people know how to play against 18 Wraiths now, right? Like people have played against it before. They know to try to precision at the character, especially if you're not playing Awakened, right? Like there is definitely a degree of, okay, let's go and get my 11 into Canoptic Core again, right? Like that's definitely a very real like fatigue problem for people playing it and playing with it. You've seen all the answers, you know people are playing, especially with stuff like the Lion coming back into popularity, right? Like that's a pain in the ass for an army like Necrons. So yeah, I think there's just like pros and cons, but yeah, and ACDC I think is just genuinely just only okay. There's some versions that are playing like double and Renegade Raiders that are still quite good. I don't think that's bad at all, but I think triple is just the Chaos Knight problem is very real, right? We saw that from like Ryan Aegeus's list from WTC, which was playing the like 60 pinks plus maximum ACDC, runs the fuck over Eldar. Chaos Knights tables it on turn 2 because it just takes Battle Shock below starting strength and an additional -1 to your leadership as like it's buff 1 and buff 3. And it's like, sick, man. All your Dark Pacts fail, so you don't get any of your buffs. And also, all your stuff is Battle Shocking constantly, and you're not holding any objectives, and you're not stopping me holding objectives while I fire 108 Gatling cannon shots plus a billion heavy stubborn and flamers at you every turn. Shut up and die.
Yep. And that is our last question in this. We're done.
Fantastic. All right, guys. Thank you for being with us for this episode. Nathan has got one last thing to do, but I really do appreciate you guys bearing with me through my ranting and my raving.
I don't even think it was that ranty or ravey.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I'm prevaricating. Thanks so much, everybody, for being with us. Nathan, you can do your bit.
All right. If you join the $15 a month Crisp High 5 tier, you get special call-outs at the end of every episode, along with a bunch of in-person benefits. Hopefully, some of you claimed your Crisp High 5s from Innis. If you saw him in person while you were at WCW, that makes me disappointed and sad.
I don't offer them. It's only the polls and you.
Yeah, you do have to go ask for them. We're not going to hunt you down and give them to you. You have to ask for them. All right. Thank you to Christopher, has finally changed his server name despite thinking he did 2 weeks ago. Sorry, Nathan. I will change this D4 times before Xmas Irvine. Are you going to roll a D4? Is that what's going to happen? Or is that 4 damage times? I don't know, man. You do what you need to do, Chris.
Great meeting you too, Jensen.
Thank you to Willow Weeks. Thank you to Dan F. Thank you to Luke Harridans taking the Subway McCarthy. Thank you to David. Looking forward to claiming my Crisp High 5 at WCW Clark. Apparently you forgot to. Thank you to
You might have claimed off Jeremy. I don't know.
That's true. Jeremy's not here to say whether or not anybody claimed him. Maybe Jeremy's just more approachable than you are, Innis.
That is entirely possible. I am not known for my approachability.
Thank you to Exhausted. Thank you to James H. Thank you to Colton Dan F. Miller. Thank you to Fungus. Thank you to John V8 Gang. This bit has been canceled because the jokes expired before the next show. Thank you to Cam F. Dan Morton. Hog emoji. Thank you to Lady Malice's Footstool, which is still amazing and very funny. Thank you to Josiah Gattle. Thank you to Frankie Fresh. Thank you to Isaac. Tonight on Stat Check, Nathan entered Breaking Bad. Innis joins John Lennon with being happy, finishing second, according to John's wife. And Anthony yelled at me for calling him old Tirada. Thank you to Ben. Thank you to Thomas. A brush is about 2 birds of a kitten in length. See official measurement tab for equation. Was cute, and I did share it last episode. Thank you to Stephen. What rules does Necrosar Amentar get, Ross? +1.
We didn't even talk about this. There's more Ultramarines coming.
Oh, damn. Do we want to? No, we'll talk about it later.
The only thing I want to say here, I hope that guy's rule is that he makes the Nightbringer not an epic hero and that you can have multiples, because that's his lore, is that he collects Nightbringers like Pokemon. So I want you to be able to run him and six Nightbringers. That's what I want for Christmas.
He makes Nightbringers battle line.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I want.
Oh, God. That's funny, though. Thank you to Tom H. Is 218 and 1 in GT-sized events this year. Hopefully 4 and 24 after December. Thank you to Forces are conspiring to get me to start them, but for now I will be marked safe from Space Marines. Thank you to Heart Emoji. Thank you to Now Selling. I went to the hospital mid-major and all I got was the silly Best in Faction flag t-shirts. Thank you to Come With Me on a Gucci Adventure trademark. Thank you to 18 Vitrix, a Storm Raven, and a Dream. Thank you to John. And thank you to Henry. A group of penguins in water is called a raft, the wizard.
Aww.
Damn. And there are so many more tabs. The official measurement tab, so makes me really happy, and I'm just going to share it real quick just because I like it so much. I'm going to remember how to share things. All right. This is an official measurement tab. See, there's a kitten. That's the official unit of measure for this tab. Thank you, everybody.
Guys. Thank you so much, everybody, for being with us here for this episode of Stat Check. We'll be back next week with all the usual. Hopefully, I'll have won Celtic Cup, and I'll be back. And the trophy that's up on, I have to take this trophy back. That one, I have to take that one back, and I really don't want to have to carry it back and forth. So I better fucking win.
There you
go. So yeah, if you're at Celtic Cup, come say hi. Otherwise, best of luck if you're at any tournaments. Nathan, you can say the thing in about 2 seconds. Just wait. Go.
Bye-bye.